Do you want to get free heat this winter? Well, of course you do. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to increase your heating system's efficiency by balancing radiators in your system. All you're going to need is a few basic tools and a simple diagram to show you how. So the first step is to understand your heating system and how it works. So I'll take you through that diagram on the whiteboard. Once we're happy with that, I'm going to take you to the radiators and show you how to adjust the lock shield valves. Now that will make the heating system the most efficient that it can be. So this is a standard layout for heating system, and it can be different for each house. You can have different amount of radiators, but the principles are the same. So in this instance, we've got a combi boiler upstairs, some radiators upstairs, and some radiators downstairs. So the first thing we're going to do is find out how the heating system works. So when you turn your boiler on, you get hot water come down a flow pipe under the floor to your radiators, and that will go up to each radiator in turn. And to supply the downstairs, there's normally a T in the pipe which will come down under the floor and into the radiators. So that supplies the hot water to the radiators, but we need to make a circuit and a return back to the boiler. So from each radiator, they will come down into a return pipe under the floor, and that will run all the way through and back to the boiler. So when you turn the heating on, the hot water will flow this way. It will come down the pipe into each radiator through a TRV valve, which is pictured in the screen. That will then go through the radiator itself, and as it does so, the water will cool, come out of this, which is a lock shield valve. Again, you can see the picture there, and that will flow back to the boiler. As it goes into the boiler, it will go through a heat exchanger that warms the water and pumps it back round the system. So what we're actually trying to do is to make the water reach each radiator at a similar time and a similar pressure. Now, hot water has a tendency to rise, and what you normally find is these upstairs radiators will heat up quicker than the downstairs, and in this particular case, radiator number 6 is the furthest away. So what you will also find is that radiator will take longer to heat up. So by balancing the system, what we're actually doing is hopefully making radiator 6 heat up a similar time to radiator 1. So here we are at the first radiator, and this is the thing that we're talking about, a lock shield valve. So first of all, you need to find the first radiator in the system, and the easiest way to do that is to turn your heating on and go around the radiators and see which radiator comes on first, second, third, and so on. And that will help when it comes to balancing the radiators. So the first job is to remove this cap that is on the lock shield valve. Now they normally just pull straight off. So now you've got access to the lock shield valve, you can use an adjustable spanner or some grips, and that allows you to then increase or decrease the flow through the lock shield valve. If you turn it clockwise, you will reduce the flow, and anti-clockwise, you'll open the valve and increase the flow. So once your heating system has been running for a while, the next thing we want to do is restrict the flow through the radiator. So we've got roughly a 12-degree drop from the incoming side to the outgoing side. Now, how do we do that? Well, if you've got something like this, a digital thermometer, then this process is pretty straightforward. Now, these are around £20 off Amazon. I'll post a link below. But I understand not everyone will have something like this or access to something like this. So I'm going to show you how to do it with precision equipment, and then I'm going to show you how to do it the old school way without using any specialist tools. So this is the incoming side of the radiator. So we're getting a reading of 57 degrees on the incoming side. And if we go over to the TRV side, now this is the outgoing side on this radiator, we have got a reading of 50 degrees. 51 degrees even. So what we're actually looking for is to slow the flow through this actual radiator. So to do that, we'll go back to the lock shield valve. Okay, so what we're looking to do is restrict the flow through the radiator so that we get a difference of 12 degrees from this side to that side. Now this is the incoming side, so what we're going to do, we're going to turn that down half a turn. Now if we wait 5 minutes, we can take new readings and measure the difference. Once we're happy that it's 12 degrees or thereabouts, we can then move on and repeat this process for all the radiators, and that will be the system balanced. So how are you going to achieve balancing the system with no specialist tools? Now that is really simple. So it's pretty much the same as before. Figure out which radiator is the first on the system, second, third, fourth, etc. until you get to the last one. So you come to the first radiator, and the first thing you need to do is adjust the lock shield valve. So come to your first radiator, to the lock shield valve, and turn it all the way down in a clockwise direction until the valve is shut. So now the valve's shut, you need to open that half a turn. And then we need to go to the last radiator on the system. So this is the last radiator on the system. So all we need to do now is open this lock shield valve all the way up. So that there's no restriction on the flow. Now next we need to go back and find the second radiator and adjust the lock shield valve. Okay, so this is me at the second radiator on the system. So like we did with the first one, the first thing we need to do is turn the lock shield valve all the way down till it's closed. So once it's fully closed, we need to open it half a turn and then a further quarter of a turn for this radiator. So that's 3/4 of a turn. So every time we go up a radiator, we're going to be going up a quarter of a turn. So radiator number 3 will be a full turn, radiator 4 will be a turn and a quarter, and so on until we get to the last radiator. We leave the last radiator fully open because that's the furthest away, and that will encourage the flow to reach that radiator at the same rate as it does the rest. So that's your heating system now fully balanced. So you're going to maximise the efficiency of your heating system by ensuring all the radiators heat up at the same time under a similar sort of pressure. So I hope you like the video. If you do, don't forget, give the video a thumbs up, leave me a comment, that will help my video reach other people and save them money. And the last but most important thing, please hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you soon.